Plastic surgery can be a gamble. Sometimes it enhances, other times it completely backfires. In Hollywood, where appearances can make or break a career, some black actors have gone under the knife with shocking results. From subtle tweaks gone wrong to full-blown transformations that left fans speechless. Here are the most unbelievable plastic surgery disasters you will ever see. 1. Michael Jackson. What if I told you the king of pop's jaw-dropping transformations were almost as legendary as Thriller and Billie Jean? Michael Jackson's story goes way beyond moonwalking and grabbing his crotch on stage. This guy literally rewrote the book on pop music, but his face became front-page news for all the wrong reasons. This minute, the world was watching young Michael in the Jackson 5, that cute kid with the afro and infectious smile. Fast forward to the 1980s, and boom, everything changed. It all started innocently enough with a nose job after he broke it during a dance rehearsal. The doctors fixed his breathing, but Michael wasn't done. He kept going back, making that nose smaller and smaller until it looked like it might disappear completely. But here's where things get wild. His skin started getting lighter, and people lost their minds. Was it bleaching? Michael swore up and down it was vitiligo, a condition that destroys pigment in your skin. The media didn't care. They had a field day with it. Every red carpet appearance became a guessing game. What did Michael do to his face now? The poor guy couldn't catch a break. He would drop absolute bangers like Bad and Smooth Criminal, but all anyone wanted to talk about was his cheekbones getting higher and his chin getting more pointed. His siblings barely recognized him at family dinners. Fans who grew up with him felt like they were looking at a stranger. Here's the kicker. Michael never admitted to most of it. He would sit in interviews looking completely different from 5 years earlier and act like nothing happened. The man was a master performer, but even he couldn't sell that story. His face became so stretched and modified that plastic surgeons started using him as an example of what not to do. 2. Lil' Kim. The Queen Bee was absolutely killing it in the 90s. This tiny powerhouse from Brooklyn was spitting bars that made grown men blush and rocking outfits that had fashion designers scrambling to copy her style. Hardcore went platinum, and Kim was on top of the world. But behind all that confidence was a woman dealing with some serious pain. Kim opened up about being in an abusive relationship where her partner constantly tore down her looks. He would tell her she was ugly, that her nose was too big, that she needed to change everything about herself. That kind of mental torture would mess with anyone's head. So Kim started tweaking things. First, it was just the nose. A little smaller, a little more refined. No big deal, right? But then she kept going. Her skin got lighter, her features got sharper, and fans started doing double takes. Was this really the same woman who told us she didn't want a broken heart? The changes became so dramatic that old fans felt betrayed. This was the woman who taught them to love themselves as they were. And now she looked completely different. Music executives started treating her differently too. Instead of focusing on her killer verses, everyone was whispering about her latest procedure. Kim tried to make comebacks, but the industry had moved on. The woman who once commanded respect with just her voice was now known more for her surgeries than her songs. She would show up to events looking nothing like her old album covers, and people would spend more time staring than listening. 3. Khloe Kardashian. Khloe was always the different Kardashian. While Kim and Kourtney had that classic Armenian beauty, Khloe was taller, curvier, and constantly dealing with comments about not fitting the family mold. Being called the fat sister in tabloids for years would mess with anyone's confidence. She finally admitted in 2019 to getting a nose job. But girl, that was just the tip of the iceberg. Her whole face started changing. Cheekbones appeared out of nowhere, her jawline got sharp enough to cut glass, and her lips went from thin to super full. The woman who built her brand on being the real sister was looking anything but real. The crazy part? Khloe was actually successful. Good American was making bank, Keeping Up with the Kardashians was still ratings gold, and she had her own shows. But people couldn't stop talking about her face. Every Instagram post turned into a detective game. What did she do now? She would post workout videos trying to credit her changing body to exercise, but come on, nobody's nose gets smaller from squats. Her fans were getting frustrated with the lies, and her critics were having a field day. The woman who once preached body positivity was clearly struggling with her own body image. 4. Vivica Fox. Vivica was that girl in the 90s. Set It Off, Independence Day, Kill Bill. She was everywhere and looking absolutely stunning while doing it. This woman had the kind of natural beauty that made other actresses jealous and had men writing love letters. But Hollywood is rough on women, especially as they age. Vivica started getting work done to maintain her look, but maintaining turned into changing. Her face got tighter, her cheeks got higher, and that natural glow started looking artificial under all the work. The real drama happened in 2024 when she showed up to the Tamron Hall show looking completely different. Her cheeks were so swollen, people thought she had had an allergic reaction. Vivica tried to play it off, saying it was just temporary swelling from recent work, but the damage was done. The internet went crazy with memes and jokes. 5. Janet Jackson. Janet has always been different from her famous brother, but the surgery rumors followed her too. People started noticing changes in her nose back in the 80s, right when she was transitioning from that sweet girl on Good Times to the bad girl of pop music. She admitted to one nose job, claiming it was for breathing issues, but fans weren't buying it. Her nose kept getting smaller, her face kept getting more angular, and people started making comparisons to Michael. The Jackson family genetics were strong, but these siblings were looking less and less like they came from the same parents. The thing about Janet is, she never let the surgery talk completely overshadow her talent. She kept dropping hits like Rhythm Nation, and that's the way love goes. When people tried to focus on her face, she'd come out with another killer album or iconic music video that reminded everyone why she was a legend. But the speculation never stopped. Every award show appearance became a study session for fans trying to figure out what work she had had done. Her face became rounder, then sharper, then different again. It was like watching someone experiment with their appearance in real time. 6. LaToya Jackson. Poor LaToya got caught up in the Jackson family surgery spiral. She started out looking like a beautiful, softer version of Michael, but then she went down the same plastic surgery rabbit hole that swallowed her brother. Her nose got smaller, her cheekbones got higher, her chin got more pointed, and her skin got lighter. By the time she was done, she looked like she could be Michael's twin instead of his sister. The natural Jackson family resemblance was completely gone, replaced by this artificial look that seemed to change every few years. LaToya's problem was that she never had Michael's talent to fall back on. While he was creating Thriller, she was making forgettable pop songs that nobody remembers. So when her appearance became the story, she had nothing else to distract people with. She tried reality TV, tell-all books, anything to stay relevant, but people were more interested in her face than her words. Every interview became about her surgeries instead of whatever she was promoting. She became a cautionary tale instead of a success story. 7. Toni Braxton. Toni was absolutely gorgeous naturally. That deep, sultry voice matched perfectly with her classic beauty. But even she felt the pressure to enhance what God gave her. She got a nose job early in her career, right when she was blowing up with Breathe Again and another sad love song. The change was subtle at first, just a little refinement that made her features more delicate. But fans noticed immediately. This was their R&B queen, and suddenly she looked different. The surgery was well done, not dramatic like some others, but it still sparked conversations about why she felt the need to change. Toni handled it better than most. She admitted to the work, said it was for her confidence, and kept making incredible music. Her voice was so powerful that people eventually stopped caring about her nose and went back to focusing on her talent. But it still raised questions about industry pressure. Here was a woman who was already successful, already beautiful, still feeling like she needed to change something about herself to stay competitive. If Toni Braxton didn't feel pretty enough naturally, what hope did regular women have? 8. K. Michelle. K. Michelle's story is straight up scary. This woman had a voice that could make you cry, and the attitude to match. She was making waves in R&B and reality TV, building a solid career on her talent and personality. But she made a decision that almost killed her: illegal silicone injections. She wanted curves to match her bold personality, so she went to someone who wasn't even a real doctor and let them pump industrial silicone into her body, the same stuff they use in cars and buildings. What happened next was like a horror movie. The silicone started moving around her body, hardening in weird places, causing infections and constant pain. She could barely walk, couldn't perform properly, and looked visibly sick. The woman who used to command stages was struggling to get through interviews. She had to have 13 surgeries in 1 year just to remove the poison from her body. 13. Can you imagine going under the knife that many times? Her career basically stopped while she fought for her life. Instead of talking about her music, people were talking about her medical disasters. K. Michelle got real about her experience, trying to warn other women about the dangers of cheap, illegal procedures. But the damage to her career was already done. She went from rising star to cautionary tale in a matter of months. 9. Seal. Seal's situation is different from everyone else on this list. Those scars on his face aren't from surgery gone wrong. They're from a condition called discoid lupus that he developed as a teenager. But his story still fits because of how he dealt with looking different in an industry obsessed with perfection. Can you imagine being a young performer with facial scarring? The music industry can be brutal to people who look different. But Seal turned his scars into his signature. Instead of hiding them or getting surgery to remove them, he made them part of his brand. His unique look actually helped him stand out. When Kiss from a Rose was playing everywhere, people remembered Seal not just for his voice, but for his distinctive appearance. He proved that being different could be better than being conventionally handsome. The medical treatments for his condition weren't cosmetic surgeries, but they still required procedures and maintenance. Seal had to deal with the physical and emotional challenges of his condition while building a career in the spotlight. 10. Tamika "Tiny" Harris. Tiny was killing it with Xscape in the 90s. Those harmonies, those hits, that girl group magic that made everyone want to sing along. But when she married T.I. and got into reality TV, her appearance became as much of a topic as her music ever was. The eye surgery was the big shocker. Tiny went to another country to get a procedure that wasn't even legal in America, changing her brown eyes to ice gray. The surgery carried a real risk of blindness, but she did it anyway because she wanted a different look. People lost their minds. Here was a successful woman with beautiful natural features risking her sight for cosmetic reasons. The gray eyes were striking, sure, but they looked obviously fake. Every photo became a discussion about whether the risk was worth it. She also got breast implants, facial fillers, and other work that changed her whole vibe. The Tiny from Xscape's album covers looked completely different from the Tiny on T.I. and Tiny, The Family Hustle. Fans felt like they'd lost the woman they grew up loving, but Tiny owned her choices. She never apologized or acted ashamed about her decisions. She wanted to look different, so she did. Whether people liked it or not wasn't really her problem. That confidence was admirable, even if her choices were questionable. 11. Nene Leakes. Nene Leakes didn't just walk into the Real Housewives of Atlanta. She kicked down the door and made everyone else look boring. This woman had one-liners that could end careers and the confidence to back up every single word that came out of her mouth. But somewhere between throwing shade and throwing wine glasses, Nene's face started changing too. Picture Nene in Season 1. Natural beauty, expressive features, that smile that could light up a room or burn it down depending on her mood. She was the breakout star, the one everyone tuned in to see. But as the seasons rolled on, fans started noticing things. Her nose got smaller and more refined. Her face got tighter. Those natural expressions that made her so animated started looking a little different. In 2010, Nene came clean about getting a nose job. She said it was for her confidence, which was wild because this woman had enough confidence to fill up the Georgia Dome. But Hollywood does weird things to people's self-image. Even someone as bold as Nene felt like she needed to tweak something. The thing about Nene is she never tried to hide it or lie about it. She would joke about her nose job on the show, make fun of herself before anyone else could. That's the Nene we loved, brutally honest about everything, including her own choices. But the focus on her appearance started overshadowing her natural talent for entertainment. She tried to branch out, comedy shows, Broadway, hosting gigs, but people kept talking about her face instead of her performances. The woman who could improvise comedy gold was being reduced to before and after photos. It was frustrating to watch because Nene had genuine comedic timing and star quality that went way beyond her looks. 12. Black China. Black China burst onto the scene as a video vixen with curves that defied physics and an attitude that matched. She was dating rappers, starting businesses, and building a brand around being the baddest chick in the room. But those curves that made her famous? They weren't exactly natural. China was open about her enhancements from day one. Breast implants, Brazilian butt lift, the works. She wanted to look like a walking fantasy, and for a while, it worked. She was booking video after video, magazine covers, club appearances. The enhanced look was part of her brand, part of what made her stand out in a sea of Instagram models. But here's where things got messy. The surgeries kept happening. More filler here, more enhancement there. What started as strategic body modification turned into something that looked overdone. Her face started looking puffy and unnatural. Her body proportions got so extreme that people started making jokes instead of admiring her. The Kardashian drama didn't help. When she got involved with Rob Kardashian and had a baby, suddenly everyone was analyzing every inch of her appearance. The family's obsession with perfection seemed to rub off on her, and not in a good way. She kept modifying herself to fit into their world, losing what made her unique in the first place. Then came the plot twist nobody saw coming. In 2023, China decided to reverse a lot of her work. She got her breast implants removed, scaled back on the fillers, and started looking more natural. It was like watching someone wake up from a plastic surgery coma. She said she wanted to be a better role model for her kids, which was actually pretty touching. The reversal process was just as dramatic as the original surgeries. China documented the whole thing, showing the recovery, the pain, the emotional journey of undoing years of modifications. It was raw and real in a way that her enhanced era never felt. 13. Cardi B. Cardi B has never met a truth she wouldn't tell, and her plastic surgery journey is no different. Before she was dropping bars about making money moves, she was making moves to transform her body. Some legal, some definitely not. Back when Cardi was still working as a stripper, making ends meet, and saving up for her dreams, she made some risky choices. She got illegal butt injections in someone's basement for a few $100s. Not a doctor's office, not a clinic, literally somebody's house. The procedure involved industrial silicone being injected into her body by someone who probably wasn't even qualified to give flu shots. Cardi has been brutally honest about how stupid and dangerous this was. The injections caused her constant pain, made sitting uncomfortable, and could have killed her. But at the time, she felt like she needed those curves to make money and compete with other dancers. The pressure to have an exaggerated figure in that industry was real, and she was young and desperate enough to risk her life for it. The breast augmentation came later, after she had more money and could afford to do it safely, but even that caused problems. During her pregnancy with Culture, her implants became uncomfortable and painful. She had to deal with the complications while trying to build her rap career and start a family. What's crazy is how open Cardi is about all of this. She'll talk about her surgeries in interviews, rap about them in songs, post about them on social media. She has turned her mistakes into teaching moments, warning young women not to make the same dangerous choices she did. But the focus on her body modifications sometimes overshadowed her incredible talent. This woman went from reality TV to topping the Billboard charts, but people would rather discuss her ass than her bars. It's frustrating because Cardi's flow is sick, her personality is magnetic, and her business sense is sharp. She deserves to be known for more than her surgical choices. 14. Nicki Minaj. Nicki Minaj created a whole persona around being a living Barbie doll, and her body became part of that fantasy. Those impossible curves, that doll-like face, the over-the-top everything, it was all part of the Nicki brand. But maintaining that look came with a price. The speculation about Nicki's surgeries has been going on for over a decade. Her butt got rounder, her hips got wider, her face got more sculpted. She would post photos that looked so different from her early mixtape days that fans had to do double takes. Was this really the same girl who was spitting fire on Playtime Is Over? Nicki has always been coy about the work she's had done. She'll hint at it in songs, make jokes about it in interviews, but never give a straight answer about what's real and what's enhanced. It became part of her mystique. You never knew what was natural talent and what was surgical artistry. In 2023, she finally opened up about having some regrets. Looking at old photos made her question some of her choices. She talked about being young and impressionable, wanting to create this larger-than-life image that maybe went too far. It was the most vulnerable we'd ever seen her about the topic. The crazy thing is that Nicki's natural talent was always enough. Her flow, her wordplay, her ability to switch between singing and rapping. That's what made her special. But the industry and her own insecurities pushed her toward this artificial perfection that sometimes overshadowed her genuine skills. Her influence on young women has been huge, and not always in a good way. Girls started getting surgeries to look like Nicki, trying to achieve those impossible proportions. She became a beauty standard that was literally impossible to reach naturally, which created a whole generation of women chasing surgical perfection. 15. Tyra Banks. Tyra Banks was already one of the most successful supermodels in the world when she decided she needed a nose job. Think about that for a second. This woman was booking Victoria's Secret campaigns and magazine covers left and right, but she still felt like something about her face wasn't right. The surgery happened early in her modeling career, back when she was just starting to break barriers as a black model in a very white industry. Tyra has said she felt pressure to conform to European beauty standards, to make her features more acceptable to designers and photographers who weren't used to working with black models. She's been refreshingly honest about the whole thing. Tyra doesn't try to pretend it didn't happen or make excuses about breathing problems. She straight up said she wanted to change how she looked, and she did. That kind of honesty was rare in the modeling world, where everyone pretended to be naturally perfect. The nose job was subtle, not a complete reconstruction, just a refinement that made her features more delicate. It worked for her career in the short term, helping her book even bigger campaigns and eventually leading to her breakthrough as the first black model on the cover of GQ and Sports Illustrated swimsuit issue. But Tyra's real genius was turning her experience into a platform to help other women. America's Next Top Model became this weird mix of fashion competition and therapy session, where she would constantly talk about self-acceptance while also putting girls through makeovers that completely changed how they looked. The contradiction was wild. Tyra would preach about loving yourself while literally transforming contestants with new hair, makeup, and sometimes even suggesting cosmetic procedures. She was trying to have it both ways, acknowledging that the industry demanded perfection while also claiming to promote self-love. 16. Eddie Murphy. Eddie Murphy has been making people laugh for over 4 decades, but somewhere along the way, his face became a topic of conversation for reasons that had nothing to do with comedy. Fans started noticing subtle changes in his appearance, sparking rumors about possible cosmetic work. The speculation usually centers around his face looking smoother, his features appearing more refined. But here's the thing. Eddie has never confirmed any surgical procedures, and the changes people notice could easily be explained by good skincare, professional makeup, and the natural aging process of someone who takes care of themselves. What's interesting is how the rumors have followed him without really affecting his career. Eddie keeps booking movies, keeps making people laugh, keeps being Eddie Murphy. Coming to America, Dolomite is my name. The man is still working and still funny as hell. The whispers about plastic surgery seem almost irrelevant when you consider Eddie's body of work. This is the guy who created multiple iconic characters, dominated Saturday Night Live, and made some of the biggest comedies in movie history. Whether his face is natural or enhanced doesn't change the fact that he's a comedy legend. Maybe that's the difference between Eddie and some other celebrities. His identity isn't tied to his looks, it's tied to his talent. People come to see Eddie Murphy movies because they want to laugh, not because they want to stare at his face. That focus on substance over appearance has probably protected him from the kind of scrutiny that destroys other careers. 17. Countess Vaughn. Countess Vaughn was living every young actress's dream. Moesha was huge. The Parkers made her a household name, and she had that bubbly personality that made viewers feel like she was their actual friend. But behind the scenes, Countess was dealing with pressure that would eventually derail her career. The problem started with skin bleaching. Countess has been open about using products to lighten her skin tone, feeling pressure to look a certain way in Hollywood. But these weren't professional treatments. She was using harsh chemicals that burned her skin and caused permanent damage. The skin bleaching was just the beginning. Countess also got buttock injections, another risky procedure that led to complications. The injections caused infections, pain, and scarring that made her life miserable. She went from being a confident young star to someone who was embarrassed to be seen in public. The health problems forced her to step away from acting just when her career should have been taking off. While her Moesha and Parker's co-stars were booking new projects, Countess was dealing with doctors, medications, and the physical and emotional aftermath of her surgical choices. What makes Countess's story so sad is that she was already talented and beautiful. She had natural comedic timing, a great singing voice, and the kind of personality that lit up every scene she was in. But the industry made her feel like she wasn't enough, that she needed to change her skin color and body shape to be successful. 18. LL Cool J. LL Cool J has been fine for like 40 years straight, which naturally made people suspicious. When you look that good for that long, rumors are going to start flying about what kind of work you've had done to maintain it. The speculation usually focuses on his face. It's been remarkably consistent over the decades. No major aging, no dramatic changes, just LL looking like LL. Some fans have wondered about a possible nose job or facial work, but there's never been any real evidence to support these theories. LL has actually addressed the rumors directly, which most celebrities won't do. He has explained that his youthful appearance comes from good genetics, consistent exercise, and taking care of himself. The man has been working out religiously since the 1980s, so it makes sense that he'd age better than someone who's been living hard. There was also speculation about a visible scar that some people thought was from plastic surgery. LL clarified that it was actually from an appendix operation, shutting down that particular theory pretty quickly. The interesting thing about LL is how he has handled the speculation. Instead of getting defensive or refusing to address it, he's been straightforward about what is and isn't true. That transparency has actually helped his reputation. People respect honesty, even when it comes to something as superficial as plastic surgery rumors. His career hasn't suffered at all from the speculation. NCIS. Los Angeles ran for over a decade. He's still making music, still acting, still being a cultural icon. Whether his face is natural or enhanced doesn't matter when you've got that much talent and longevity. 19. Halle Berry. Halle Berry has been breaking hearts and winning awards for decades, but even she hasn't escaped the plastic surgery rumor mill. The speculation usually centers around her nose, with fans comparing photos from different decades and claiming to see subtle changes. The rumors started in the 1990s, right around the time Halle was transitioning from modeling to serious acting. Some people claimed her nose looked different in Boomerang compared to her earlier work, sparking debates about whether she'd had rhinoplasty. What's frustrating about the Halle Berry speculation is that it's all so subtle. If she did have work done, it was expertly executed and minimal. Her face has remained remarkably consistent over the years, aging gracefully without any dramatic changes or obvious surgical signs. Halle has never addressed the rumors directly, which is probably the smart move. Denying plastic surgery often just draws more attention to the speculation, and confirming it can overshadow your actual accomplishments. By staying silent, she has kept the focus on her acting and her personal life rather than her appearance. The fact that people are still guessing after all these years probably means the rumors are just that, rumors. If Halle had obvious work done, it would be more apparent. The woman is 58 years old and still looks incredible, which is more likely due to good genetics and professional maintenance than surgical intervention. Her career certainly hasn't suffered from the speculation. Oscar winner, action star, beauty icon, Halle has achieved pretty much everything an actress can achieve. Whether her nose is original equipment or aftermarket doesn't change the fact that she's been one of Hollywood's most successful leading ladies for over 2 decades. 20. Sammy Sosa. Sammy Sosa's transformation might be the most dramatic on this entire list, and it had nothing to do with going under the knife. The legendary baseball player shocked the world when he appeared at public events looking completely different, specifically with much lighter skin. Back in his playing days, Sammy was beloved for his home run battles with Mark McGwire, his infectious smile, and his Dominican pride. He was dark-skinned, charismatic, and became a symbol of Latino excellence in baseball. Kids wore his jersey, adults cheered his name, and he was genuinely one of the most popular athletes in America. Then came the photos that broke the internet, before breaking the internet was even a thing. Sammy showed up to events with skin that was dramatically lighter than anyone remembered. The change was so striking that people thought the photos were fake, or that it was a different person entirely. The explanation was even more shocking than the transformation. Sammy claimed he was using a skin lightening cream as part of his skincare routine, and it had the unexpected side effect of dramatically changing his complexion. He insisted it wasn't intentional, that he wasn't trying to change his race or deny his heritage. The reaction was swift and brutal. Fans felt betrayed. Critics accused him of self-hatred, and the baseball community was divided between those who supported his right to do whatever he wanted with his body and those who saw it as a rejection of his Dominican roots. What made it worse was the timing. This happened after Sammy's baseball career had ended in controversy over steroid allegations. So he was already dealing with questions about his legacy. And then this appearance issue became another distraction from his actual accomplishments on the field. The skin lightening overshadowed everything else about Sammy's post-baseball life. Instead of being remembered as one of the greatest home run hitters in history, conversations about him inevitably turned to his appearance. It became impossible to discuss his career without someone bringing up how different he looked. Sammy has remained largely unrepentant about his choices, insisting that it's his body and his decision. But the damage to his public image has been lasting. The man who once brought joy to millions of baseball fans became a cautionary tale about the dangers of dramatically altering your appearance. Let us know your thoughts on plastic surgery in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more jaw-dropping Hollywood stories.